Hello CraftDee Family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So Crafty. For today's DIY projects, I have selected my top 10 super easy projects that I have created using the wood crates and trays from the Dollar Tree. Now these include a variety of planters, shelves, tiered trays, and also wall decor pieces. Now this compilation will have step-by-step instructions for each project and also some styling ideas that I have used for my space. Now as always, all of the projects I create have complete supply lists included in the description box, so you can easily use it for reference as you gather your supplies. Now before we start, I have to say hey to all of my subscribers, and if you are a new visitor to my channel today, I hope you consider subscribing as well and stick around to enjoy these crafts and all the different ways that I will show you how to style these in your space. So now let's jump right into these projects. Wood box trays from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use one plastic clothing hanger that is black. So I'm going to lay out my cutting mat and grab my hanger, and we're going to start cutting this because this will be the supports for our shelf. So I'm going to line it up nice and even with my tray. I'm grabbing my chalk marker just to make 2 marks even with the bottom of the tray holder. We just want to make sure, I'm using my mat as a guide, and this helps to make sure the bottom is even. Then to cut this, I'm just using a pair of wire clippers, and you do want to make sure you cut this as evenly as possible. So now that your first side is cut, you just want to flip over your hanger, place the other one on top, and you want to trace those lines right onto the second one so both pieces will be the exact same size. And then once those lines are there, go ahead and take your wire clippers and cut those down as well. And now you're going to do any last minute trimming and evenness that you need. Now for these little hooks, go ahead and trim those off with your wire clippers. And if you can't get them flush, if you have a smaller pair or some sandpaper, you can sand those down to make sure they're nice and even. And we have our 2 side supports. So now I'm just going to clean up the edges and set those to the side. So now we're going to work on our boxes. Now these boxes come with the cutout holes, and I wanted to cover those up. So I'm using some of these craft sticks that I got from Lowe's. Now you can use some scraps to cover the holes, but I thought it would be neater to use a full stick and cut it to size. So I'm just going to lay it across the box, and I want to trace the outline of the opening. Now once that's traced on the stick, I'm cutting it right outside of the line, and I'm going to measure and recut to make sure it fits snugly inside that edge. Now once it does fit like you like it, go ahead and cut 4 pieces to cover all 4 of our holes, and then make sure they all fit snugly in place. Now to adhere these, I'm just using some of my wood stick hot glue, and I'm going to just place a stick on that hot glue and secure it over the hole, flip it over just to make sure that hole is completely covered. And now you want to repeat this for the remaining 3 holes of your boxes. And now all 4 of my holes on my boxes are nice and covered. Now go ahead and remove the stickers because we are getting ready to prepare these boxes for stain. So of course I will be using my Jacobian stain by Bim Wax to stain the boxes. So I'm just going to take my rag, and I want to apply that stain all over the inside and outside of my boxes. And here's the stain all over the box, all fully covered. And you notice the glue where the manufacturer put the box together is showing, but that's okay. We'll be having things inside. And now that both boxes are stained, you want to sit them outside to completely dry. So now that our boxes are dry, we can actually start putting together our shelf. So I'm going to be, of course, using my Sure Bonder wood glue, and also my stand. So I'm just going to lay my stands on the side of the box and then apply that Sure Bonder wood stick hot glue along the back edge of the box first. Then I want to place the straight edge of that hanger in place and press it down. Now once that's bonded, you want to apply the front edge and just apply that glue at an angle and apply that piece in place. Now you can wipe off any excess glue and clip it into place to make sure it's nice and secure. So now what we're going to do is add our second box to the top. Now I'm going to be using my grid mat to actually give me some alignment help. And I decided to kind of offset the placement of the top box about an inch behind the first box because it looks like a tiered shelf from the front and I really love that look. And I just marked it with my chalk marker to know where to place the glue. And I'm applying a generous amount of that Surebonder wood hot glue and placing it right in place, making sure we have that 1 inch offset and it's aligned with our 2 marks, and then just go ahead and clip it into place. Now once that glue dries, you can go ahead and flip over the entire assembly and then we can assemble and place in our second support. Now again, we want to apply that hot glue the same way. We've made our marks and we're going to apply that hot glue at the bottom, and also we're going to apply it around the top, and we're going to adhere both trays at the same time. Now after this dries, you are ready to decorate your shelf. Now this is really secure and I only plan to put light trinkets on it, so there's no need for nails or staples, but it is ready to go. Now here it is. My tiered shelf is on display and I absolutely love it. Now I have added a few of my favorite Dollar Tree items and they fit perfectly. Now I love that each shelf is the perfect size and that you can customize it to your liking. And as always, the Dollar Tree wood always takes the stain so very well. You guys have to let me know, what kinds of decor would you display on these shelves? So we're going to need 4 of these wood mini crates from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to need 2 of these 7/16 inch or larger wood dowels from Walmart, and they're 97 cents each. Now we're going to start by cutting our dowels down to size, and we're going to cut 4 pieces at 1 inch. We're going to cut 4 pieces at 3 inches, cut 4 pieces at 5 inches, and then cut 4 pieces at 7 inches. So now that everything is cut and ready, we are going to go ahead and stain our pieces, and of course I will be using my Jacobian stain again. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and apply one nice coat of that stain to the inside and the outside of all of your crates. Now you do want to be careful and make sure you get in between all those little crevices and the sides as well. Now you do see where the manufacturer glue did not take the stain, but that is okay. That will not be showing in our final project. And now that all of our crates are nice and stained, we can work on the dowels, and I am going to apply the stain to the outside of the dowels, making sure you don't get any stain on each of the raw ends. And now our stains are dry and they are ready to go. We can go ahead and put our stands together. So I'm going to take one of the crates and I'm going to flip it face down with the back facing you, and I'm going to start with those 1-inch dowels. Now I'm going to place those on the back using my Surebonder wood stick hot glue. So just take one of the dowels and I'm going to place 1 dowel on each corner of the back of the crate, and it's approximately 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Just apply a generous dab of that Surebonder hot glue to the dowel and press it firmly into place, and you want to put 1 in each corner. And here are all of our dowels on, and you see they make the perfect little legs. So now for the second crate, we're going to move on to the 3-inch size dowels, and we are going to repeat the same process by applying that glue on there and then placing those in place. And now for our last 2 crates, just apply the remaining 2 sizes, and here are the 2 taller crates. Now this glue is pretty strong, and if you wanted to, you could add some wood screws from the inside going down into the dowels if you like. I think that my glue will serve the purpose that I need, so I will not be doing that in my project. So here are all 4 of our crates, and now we can decorate them. And now that everything is ready, we can decorate and place these on display. Now how cute are these little crates? Now we've decked out our crates with just a few accessories, and I am really loving this look. Now I think that this multi-height design is so visually appealing and it makes your accessories really stand out. Now of course that stained wood is always so beautiful. You guys have to let me know, how would you decorate these crates in your space? Now for this project, we'll need 2 of these wood puzzles from the Dollar Tree. We'll also need 2 wood crates from the Dollar Tree. And we'll also need some of these tiara headbands from the Dollar Tree. Now the first thing we want to do is to take our puzzles and we're going to remove all of those pieces. And then we're going to grab our wood glue and I'm going to apply it to the open spaces. And then I'm going to place those pieces back in their place. Now once those pieces are all secured, we're going to adhere a piece of craft paper on top. So we're going to lay that puzzle face down on the craft paper. Now this will give the back of the project a much cleaner look and will make it more presentable for selling or gift giving. Now to adhere it, we're simply going to use hot glue. Now once both of those puzzles are adhered to the paper, we're just going to trim off the excess, and I'm going to be using an X-Acto knife to do so. Also, don't forget to get those rounded corners. And now these have a clean, nice look. So next we're going to remove that manufacturer stamp on the wood with a piece of sandpaper. And now we're ready to stain. So go ahead and protect your work surface and gather your puzzles and your crates. Now I'm going to be using this Jacobian stain by Minwax, and we're going to go ahead and grab our gloves and a rag as well. Now we want to make sure our stain has been mixed, and then we're going to start to apply it to the back of the puzzle. Now we usually want to apply this along the grain, and we want to remember to get those side edges as well. And here are both puzzles stained. And so now we're going to go ahead and move on to the boxes. Now you really want to make sure you get the stain into those creases as well. And here is everything fully dry. So now we're going to adhere the boxes to the wood puzzles. Now we want to align them so they're about a ½ inch from the bottom, but centered in the middle of the puzzle. Now once they're in place, you're just going to lightly mark the placement with a pencil. And then we're going to apply some wood glue to the crates. And then we're going to carefully flip them over and apply them to the puzzle where you marked. And once they're in place, just put a weighted item on the crate to help them dry. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab our princess headbands. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the staples that hold the crown portion in place. And then we're going to go ahead and manually just straighten it out. And then set those to the side. So now that we let our crates dry, we can start adding some embellishment to the puzzle piece. Now my original choice for the ribbon was this burlap with the frayed trim.
So I went ahead and I applied it across the top of the board and I adhered it in place, but it seemed to blend too close to the color of the stain. So I decided to use a lighter burlap color that I had on hand, so I cut some strips from this. And then I went ahead and frayed the edges by removing a few strings from each side. Then I went ahead and I clipped it in place and hot glued it on the back. Now once that hot glue dried, I removed those clips. So now I want to apply that headband piece across the center of that burlap. I'm just going to fit it around and then bend those corners around the edge. And once we mark that bend, we're going to remove it and we're going to add some hot glue, and then we're going to just press it into place. And then I'm going to flip it over, add a few dots of hot glue, and add some clips. And then I'm going to repeat this for the other one as well. Now as an accent, I'm going to add a ribbon to the center. And this is super simple. I'm just going to take some ribbon and I'm going to make a loop. Then I'm going to wrap it around and pull it through. And once you cut the tails, you have two cute ribbons. Now to apply these, we're just going to place a dot of hot glue in the center and press it into place. Now this is an option, but I'm going to add some of these 1/2 inch nails through the back of the puzzle into the corners of the crate. Now this will make the crate more sturdy and it can hold heavier items. Now since these nails are just a tad too long, I'm going to hammer these in, leaving the nail head still sticking out slightly. Then I'm going to go back in and snap off the heads of the nails with the pliers. Now to hang these, I will be using jute string. So I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to drill a hole at the top corner of each puzzle. And then I'm going to take this thick jute string and I'm going to cut a piece, leaving some extra slack. Now to thread this through, I like to put a dab of hot glue on the end, then twist it between my fingers, and it makes it feed through a lot easier. Now once both strings are attached and the strings are even, we can go ahead and we can tie knots on the ends. And then we can just go ahead and clip off those tails. Now all you have to do is add your greenery and florals of your choice. And here is the completed project on display. Just hang these up and you can admire your finished product. Now I absolutely love all the unique details and textures in this project, and it gives it so much character. Now I just added these flowers from the Dollar Tree, but you can place any type of flowers or greenery that you like. And I just love how well this wood takes the stain, and it turned out beautiful. Let me know in the comments what you would use in the crate and how you would display it in your home.
for this project, we'll need 2 solid wood boxes from the Dollar Tree. We'll also need 5 wood beads, blocks, or marbles from the Dollar Tree. Now the first thing we're going to do is stain our boxes, so I'm going to protect my work surface and gather my supplies. Now I'll be using this Jacobian stain by Minwax for this project. Now of course we always want to make sure that the stain has been stirred well before we start. And so now what I'm doing is I'm going to take my rag and I'm going to apply that stain on the wood box. I want to make sure I get into all those little creases. Now I'm just going to apply 1 coat of this stain all over the box, and I want to do the inside out and the bottom. And then I'm going to repeat this for that second box. So now we're just going to take those beads and I'm going to stain those as well. And once everything is stained, I'm going to sit them out to dry. Now once dry, we can take our boxes and we're going to adhere them together. Now I'm going to be using this wood glue from the Dollar Tree, and I'm adding it to one end of each box. And then I'm just going to press the 2 boxes together, and you can use some clips to hold them together. Now for a bit of extra security, I'm going to apply a few staples to the inside of the box, making sure they're nice and secure. So after you staple, you can go ahead and remove those clips, and we can start to add our beads. So we're going to flip it over to the bottom, and we're going to be placing a bead on each corner and one in the middle. So I'm applying a dot of that wood glue in each one of those places and then applying a bead. And once this is dry, you can style your planter. And here is the completed project. Now I added a variety of succulents, and I love the way that this turned out. Now the wood boxes at Dollar Tree are really great quality, and they take stain really well. I love how this look came together, and it looks so high end. And that natural wood grain comes through so well on this piece, and I think it turned out great. Whether you use plants or storage, there's so many uses for this cute little planter. Wood trays from the Dollar Tree. And we'll also need 2 of these large plant hooks from the Dollar Tree. Now the first thing we're going to do is cover up those side holes of our trays, and I'm just going to use some leftover craft sticks for this. So I'm just going to lay it across the opening of the tray. I'm going to mark some cut lines and then cut it with a pair of scissors. Now once that stick fits comfortably inside and covers up that hole, what we're going to do is take our hot glue gun and apply some hot glue on each side. Now I am using my Surebonder wood sticks for this, but you should be able to use any hot glue sticks that you like. Now once that hole is covered, we're just going to repeat this process until all of the holes on all of the trays are covered. So now that those are ready to go, we are going to be staining these. Now, of course, I am going to be using my Jacobian stain by Minwax. Now, all you want to do is to take your rag and you want to be staining the inside and the outside of all of your trays. Now, if you all recall, I did make a 2-tier tray in a previous DIY, but I am really excited to give my creative spin on this 3-tier tray for you all today. So once that one tray is stained, you want to repeat this for your other 2 trays until all trays are stained, and let them sit out 2 to 3 hours to dry. So now all of our trays are dry and we can start assembling our shelf. So go ahead and grab those hooks and remove all of those tags. Now we're going to start by laying out the grid mat for alignment, and I think this is an important step to make sure everything is nice and even. So I'm going to lay out my hook nice and even, and then I want to tape it into place with some painter's tape. And then I'm going to lay each one of my trays along the hook, making sure that they're all spaced evenly. Now once they are spaced evenly, I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue to adhere these to the hook. So I'm going to start by adding E6000 to the hook first, and then applying dots of that hot glue along the area where the tray will be adhered, and then press it firmly into place. Now for the middle shelf, I'm going to do the same thing. Apply some of that E6000 and make sure you add your hot glue right on top. And then once you press that tray into place, you want to repeat that for the very last shelf right on top. Make sure you add your E6000 and hot glue and make sure that is secure. So once those are all initially in place, we are going to be adding our second hook right on top. Now that middle shelf may not be super stable since it's only one bar securing it to the shelf. So I'm just placing one of my little sticks under one side to make sure it's nice and even. So now I'm going in with my chalk marker and I am marking where I will be applying the glue for this final piece on the side. Now once you're marked, go ahead and flip it over, and you want to add your E6000 in between those marks on the opposite side that you marked, just to make sure you know exactly where to place it on your shelf. And once those three areas have that E6000 on there, you want to go over them with a few dots of that hot glue on each section. Then you want to quickly place it into place, making sure that it is nice and even, and then press it firmly. Now I'm just using one of my tools here to get any kind of glue that oozes out of the seam. Now once everything is in place, I'm just placing a piece of scrap wood right on top and adding a little weight so it's nice and secure, and let this sit overnight. So the next morning I picked up my shelf and everything looks secure. Now if you do have some white residue left over from your glue, there's an easy remedy to that. And what I did was I actually painted over it with some black acrylic paint, and it actually looks like welding. So it blended into the final project very well, and you'll see it in the final display. And here is my shelf all decorated and on display. I really love how this one turned out. Now I'm so glad that you all requested the 3-tier shelf, because using those planter hooks really make it look high-end. And as always, the wood trays are the star of the show with that beautiful stain. You guys have to let me know what you think about this version of the shelf. Now we're going to need some of these tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree and 2 of these crates from the Dollar Tree. Now we're going to start this project by working on the tumbling tower blocks. We're also going to be using a carpenter square or a ruler to make sure everything lines up nice and even. Now the first set of blocks we are going to adhere together are 3, and we're going to be making 12 sets of these 3 blocks, and I'll be bonding these together with my wood stick hot glue. Now I'm just going to bond them end to end, making sure you wipe away any glue that oozes out of the seam as you go. Now here is our first 3-set block set, and we're just going to repeat this until we have a total of 12. Now once those 12 are done, we're going to work on our second set, and we're going to be taking 2 block sets, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a total of 4 of those. So we're going to adhere these end to end just like we did our 3 block sets, and just make sure you wipe away all that hot glue that oozes out of that seam as well. And now we have our 4 sets of 2 blocks. So now that our sets are done, we can start putting together our frames. So I'm going to take 2 of the 3 block sets, and I'm going to join them together in the letter L, just like shown here, just making sure you add some hot glue and adhere it to the corner. Then flip it over and add another 3 block set to that corner with that hot glue. Now once everything is bonded and we have that U shape, just close that in with one more 3-block set, adding a dab of hot glue on each open end and taking that last set and bonding it into place. And now we have one completed frame. So now you just want to take 4 more of that 3-block sets and you want to make one more complete frame. Now for the second set will be a smaller set, so go ahead and add 2 of those 3-block sets, and we're going to sandwich in 2 of the 2-block sets in between those, and we're going to bond them the same way we did as the first time. And here is one of those frames, and just repeat that for a second one for another smaller pair. So now that everything is solid and bonded together, we are going to paint these frames. Now to paint these, I'm going to be using some black acrylic paint, and I am just going to be starting to apply this on the inside of the frame. Now I found it easy to start on the inside first and then do the outside of the frame. Now once the inside and the outside are all completely done, you can go ahead and paint the surface of the frame. Now for this project, I will be painting all of the surfaces, and then once that first surface dries, flip it over, and I will be painting the back of these as well because they will be shown. So go ahead and apply a layer of paint to the back as well, and then we can set these to the side to completely dry. So while those dry, what we're going to do is we're going to start working on those 2 wooden crates. Now to stain these, I'm going to be using my Waverly Antique Wax. Now to apply the wax, I'm just taking a small cloth or rag, and I'm going to start to apply the wax on the surface of the crate, just making sure you work it into the grain and into the creases of the crate. Now here is one side with it all stained, and we're going to continue to stain the entire outside of the crate as shown here. Now once the entire outside is done, go ahead and repeat it for the inside as well. And now we're going to work on our second crate. Now while staining the second crate, if you have an issue getting in the creases, just go ahead and take a paintbrush with a stiff bristle, and you can get right in those creases and then rub in the rest of the antique wax all over the surface. Now here are our 2 crates all fully stained, and you want to allow those to completely dry. So now all of our pieces are now dry, and we can start to assemble our planter boxes. So we're going to take the larger frame first, and I'm going to choose the best side to be on the outside. Now I'm going to line these up with that first line on the top of the crate. Now I'm going to take my pencil and make a line where the bottom of the crate hits the frame, so I'll know where to apply my hot glue. So again, taking my wood stick hot glue, I'm just going to apply a generous layer along the inside part of the frame that will be touching the crate, using those lines as a guideline and then placing it on the crate. You do want to make sure it's nice and centered and lined up with that top line. And then just go ahead and flip it over, and you want to adhere that second one the same way, applying your hot glue and lining it up with the top line. Now this time, stand your crate up while securing it in place because you want to make sure it does not wobble. And here are my frame legs on my crate. Now I went ahead and took a craft stick that I had left over, and I added some antique wax to that too, and I had this left over from a previous project. I wanted to cover up those side holes of the crate, so I just cut one craft stick in half, added that antique wax, and then I'm just going to hot glue some covers over those crate holes, and I think this just amps up the look just a little bit. Now we're just going to repeat the same process for our second crate the same way. And here are our 2 crates with those legs applied. I think they turned out so awesome, and now you can decorate. And here are my 2 planter boxes on display, and I really think these turned out great. Now I've added a bunch of eucalyptus from Walmart to these as my greenery, and I think they fit perfectly into this design. And I'm really loving the black and the wood grain combination of these, and I think they really look high end. Now, even though I love this combination, the great thing about DIYs is that you can make them any color that you like. And of course, you can add anything to the boxes as well that you like, and it does not have to be plants. Just let me know what you think of this project in the comments below.
Now for this project, we'll need 3 of these wooden trays from the Dollar Tree. Now we'll also need one of these rolling pins from the Dollar Tree, or you could probably use a plunger handle. Now the first thing we want to do is to remove that rolling pin from the packaging, and we want to measure the length of that pin. Now once we have that measurement, we're going to go ahead and mark the center, and we want to cut this in half. Now after cutting in half with my saw, I want to lightly sand those edges. So now we want to go ahead and gather our trays and our rolling pin, and we want to start to assemble our shelf. So for the bottom tray, I want to take it and I want to mark the center with a pencil. And we can check that measurement with a tape measure. And then I'm going to apply some wood glue to the center of the tray. And I'm going to take the smaller end of that rolling pin and press it into the center of the tray into the glue. Then flip that tray over, and what we're going to do is use these 3/4 inch wire nails, and we want to take one and we're going to hammer it through the bottom into that rolling pin. Now this will provide more stability to the tray. And then we're just going to take a paper towel and clean up any glue that may have oozed out of that seam. And now we're going to grab that next tray, and this is the center tray. We're going to flip that upside down as well. We're going to go ahead and mark the center, and we want to take another one of those nails and hammer it through the bottom about 1/4 inch to the side of that center mark. And now that you see the nail is sticking up on the inside of the tray, so I'm going to apply some wood glue to the top of that pin that is attached to the first tray, and then center and glue that middle tray right on top. And now you can go ahead and take another nail, and you can nail it right next to the nail that's sticking out, making sure you don't hit that other nail when you're putting that one in. And now that second tray is secure. So now we're going to take that third tray and the other half of that pin, and I'm going to glue that pin to the bottom of the top tray. And once they're glued, you can go ahead and nail those together through the center top. And now all that's left to do is take that assembled top. You want to go ahead and add some wood glue around that protruding nail that's on that second layer. You want to mark the center of the pin and line those up, place it on top, and then hammer the whole unit together through the top, and it should push that pin down on the top of that nail and secure the whole tray together. Now we're just going to sit this to the side to dry for a couple of hours. And then once we're dry, we can go ahead and stain. Now I'm going to protect my surface, and I'm going to grab this light stain. So I chose this honey oak color by Ace. And then we want to apply a light coat of that all over the tray. You want to make sure you get all the corners and the creases of the trays. And here's the tray fully stained. Now you just sit this to the side to dry. And here it is, all dry. And now that it's dry, I'm going to add some natural wood beading. Now I'll be using these beads that I got from Amazon. Now I'm just going to go ahead and place them in the bowl to keep them from rolling all over the table. And then I'm going to apply these to my tray, and I'm going to be using wood glue to apply these around that base of the center post on the middle and the bottom levels. And here's what the row around the middle should look like when it's done. And then repeat this for the bottom and let it sit to dry, and then you are done. Now I've chosen to add a variety of greenery and succulents to the tray, and I really love how this looks. Now these succulents from the Dollar Tree look really great this year, and I was so lucky to find a good variety for this project. Now I also included some leafy greens as well to tie it into the look. And you could even place battery operated tea lights or small decor on the shelves as well.
For this project, we'll need 2 of these wood crates from the Dollar Tree. We'll need 1 of these square drawers from the Dollar Tree. We'll need 3 of these black bottles from the Halloween section at the Dollar Tree. And 1 bundle of this greenery from the Dollar Tree. Now we're going to start by taking the 2 crates and removing all of the labels. Now we will be adhering these together lengthwise, so just do a quick check to make sure that the crates are an even height. Now I will be using this wood glue from the Dollar Tree to adhere these together. And once that wood glue is applied, you just want to place 1 crate on top of the other and press them firmly together. Now for a little bit of extra security, I will be applying a few staples inside of the crates, so just go ahead and clip it in place and then you can apply your staples. Now once it had a chance to dry, we can go ahead and stain our piece. And so I'm going to be gathering up my supplies from an earlier project. Now we will be staining the crates and the drawer portion of that wood block. And you can use stain, antiquing wax, or diluted acrylic paint. It's up to you. But I will be using my favorite Jacobian stain by Wax, and I'm going to start applying the stain over the outside and inside of that block. And then we can move on to staining our crates, and you do want to make sure that you get that stain in those creases and also on the inside of the crates. And once stained, you want to sit them to the side to dry. So while these dry, we're going to go ahead and grab our bottles, and we want to remove all of the labels. Now we also want to remove those corks from the bottles as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add some jute twine around the top of the bottles. Now we just want to apply a dab of hot glue to secure it at the beginning, wrap it around 4 or 5 times, and secure it with hot glue at the end. And then you want to repeat this process for your remaining bottles. So now that we're all done, we can add some greenery to the bottles. Now I cut these stems off of a bundle that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. All I want to do is adjust the leaves and the length, and I'm going to place 1 of the stems in each of the bottles. Now once everything is arranged to your liking, we're just going to sit these to the side. And we're going to grab those wood pieces that we stained. Now in order to make the stand, we're going to apply that smaller box to the top of the larger boxes, and I will be placing that cutout facing the back. Now since I want this to easily be removed, to use the crate as flip it over as a container, I'm just going to secure the crates to the smaller box with a few dots of hot glue, but add more if you want a more permanent connection. And then all you have to do is to add your bottles and your greenery. And here are the bottles on display. Now, I am really loving this clean and simplistic look. Now, these black bottles are really great quality, and they look great with the beautiful leaves. Now, I think this Olympic style stand was perfect to showcase these bottles. And I think this wood grain in the crates is absolutely gorgeous in this piece. Now when you add this to your decor, your guests will never know that this was all from the Dollar Tree. I need 4 wood crates from the Dollar Tree. We're going to need 5 of these tumbling blocks from the Dollar Tree for the bottom, and you can also use some of these wood cubes if you have them on hand. And we're going to need 4 bunches of onion grass from the Dollar Tree. So what we first are going to do is take all of our crates, and I'm going to stain them with my Jacobian stain by Wax. Now once all your pieces have 1 coat of stain all over them and your blocks, we're going to let them sit out to completely dry. Now you don't have to stain the insides, but I did as well. So now that they're all dry, we are going to actually adhere them together, stacked on top in a set of 4. So we're going to start with the 2 bottom pieces that match up pretty evenly. Again, I'm going to use my wood stick hot glue by SureBonder, apply some hot glue to the side of one of the crates and press them firmly together, making sure that they're nice and even. Now to back that up a little bit, I am applying a couple of staples on the inside to hold them together. Now once the bottom set is all adhered together, we're going to take our top 2 pieces and I'm going to add these one at a time. So I'm just going to outline the top of one of the crates with that wood stick hot glue right on the edge and place one of the crates on top, making sure it's nice and even. Make sure that you wipe away any glue that oozes out of the seam as well. So once that first crate is in place, add that second crate right next to it. And just sit that right there and make sure it's nice and lined up along the edges and wipe away that hot glue. Now again, I am going to go in with my staple gun and make sure these are secure as well. Now for the bottom, we are going to add the feet. So I'm going to take one of the tumbler blocks and add one on each corner and one in the center for support. Just adding hot glue along that edge and lining it up with all 4 corners as shown here and one in the center. And now your planter has 4 nice feet at the bottom. Now this is completely optional, but I wanted to drill holes where my onion grass will fit into my crates. Now you certainly can add some floral foam into these and stick it in there, but I did not want to cut the stems of my onion grass. I really wanted to keep them long for other projects. So I am using a drill to cut a hole for each one of my onion grass pieces so they are easily interchanged with other pieces and can be removed. So once those are all drilled, I'm going to stick one of my stems of onion grass into each one of those drilled holes. Now this will keep it nice and straight, and I love how they fit inside there. Now I did want to add rocks to my project, but I didn't want to add a bunch of them. So I'm going to fill the bottom with some white paper towels. You can use packing tissue, newspaper, whatever you have on hand. So once that's done, I'm going to take some of these rocks that I did get from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to fill in that top layer of space all around my onion grass, and this is what it will look like. And now all you have to do is choose a place to display this cute planter in your home. Now I think onion grass really gives my projects that modern high-end look, and I love using them, especially paired with wood and rocks. And of course, these crates and these blocks make the perfect planter too, and it pulls the look entirely together. Now we're going to need 2 of these crates from the Dollar Tree and 1 nautical helm steering wheel from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by placing my grid mat down, and I'm going to go ahead and clip the tags from my nautical steering wheel. Now what we want to do is we want to cut this right down to center in half, and that center point will be where your tag is hanging. So I'm taking my ruler, I'm going to line it down the center and with my ruler, and then I'm going to take my pencil and just draw a line so I'll know where the center is. Now sometimes the hole punch in this piece isn't exactly centered, but it's okay. It won't be seen in the final project if it's off by a little. So I'm taking my X-Acto knife here and I'm just going to score it 2 or 3 times until I get a nice deep cut, and then if you bend it, it should snap evenly right apart. Now once that's done, we're going to cut off all of these little handles on the side, and this should be easy to cut with a pair of sharp scissors, or you can use your X-Acto knife for those as well. Now you're going to repeat this for your second piece until they both are done. Now if you have some uneven edges, just take a piece of sandpaper and then sand them all even until the edges are nice and rounded. And now you have your 2 side pieces and your crates. Now I'm going to be staining my pieces, and of course I'm going to be using my Jacobian stain by Minwax. You just want to go ahead and start to stain all the pieces, and I'm starting with the wheel, and I'm just going to stain both sides. You also want to make sure you get around those edges as well, because those will be seen in your final project. Now once that first one is done, go ahead and repeat this for your second wheel until both are completely covered. So now you want to go ahead and stain those crates as well. Remove all of those tags and stain all of the inside and outside of the crates. And here is one of the crates all done, and just repeat this until the second crate is done as well. Now once everything is stained, sit those out for a couple of hours to completely dry. So now that they're dry, we have all of our pieces ready and we can assemble our tiered tray. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of those halves of those wheels and we're going to take one of our crates. Now you want to put the ugliest side to the back, which is where that glue is showing from the manufacturer, and you want to align that cut edge of the wheel with the back of the crate. Now to give you a better view, I'll flip it over and you'll see the cut edge is going to be aligned along the back side, and the top of the wheel is going to be aligned along the top of the crate. Now once you get your placement, you want to apply a generous amount of hot glue, and I am using Wood Stick Hot Glue by Surebonder. You just want to press that firmly into place until it's secure, making sure the top edge and that back edge are nice and aligned. So now you're going to take that second crate and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to line it up on the bottom. Now I'm going to be using my carpenter square from Dollar Tree to make sure that that bottom edge will be nice and even with the bottom edge of that wheel. So I'm going to offset my crate, sitting the bottom crate slightly forward of the top crate, and then I'm going to draw a little outline of the corner of that crate. So I'm going to put glue on that little corner of the crate that overlaps the wheel, and I want to place that corner right on the wheel. And when you do place it, make sure that that bottom edge is aligned with the bottom of that ruler, just to make sure everything will sit nice and level. Now once that edge is nice and secure, we could take our other wheel and we're going to put it on the top of our crates. We're just going to make sure our alignment is nice and even, just like we did at the bottom. And I'm going to draw a line where that wheel is going to sit on the side so we know where to apply our glue. Then just go ahead and apply a generous amount of that hot glue on those areas where the wheel will overlap, on the top and then on the bottom of the bottom crate. And then place that wheel into place, and then make sure you press it firmly and make sure those edges are nice and aligned. Now once the glue has a chance to set, you could just test it out, make sure everything is even, and remove any of the hot glue webs, any of the hot glue that oozes out of the seams as well. So once it does dry, you could decorate however you like. Now I chose some wildflowers that I got from the Dollar Tree. I thought these were just so cute and adorable, and you could choose any kind of flowers that you like, but I placed one in each crate, and oh my goodness, I think it turned out really great. And here is my tiered wagon wheel shelf on display. Now I think it is so adorable. Now I've been wanting to make a piece like this for so long, and you could just imagine my excitement when I saw the nautical wheels come in at the Dollar Tree. They worked perfectly in this project. Now you can stain or paint these as you like and outfit them with the favorite floral bunches of your choice. You all have to let me know what you think about this project in the comments below. Listen, I hope you all enjoyed seeing these creations again, or for some of you for the very first time. I hope you're all inspired to create your own great home decor using the wood crates and trays as well. Now, if you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So Crafty EE on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. Now, if you like videos like these and you don't want to miss the next one, make sure you're subscribed by clicking that subscribe button below, or just click on my She's So Crafty logo on your screen and then click on the bell. It's absolutely free. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.